Previously, we sought clues for how the idea of causation's necessary connection is not a priori. We decided to consider related questions. The first question was, why do we deem it necessary that things with beginnings are caused? Philosophy expresses this as a maxim. Whatever begins to exist must have a cause of existence. We usually take this as self-evident, so we never demand it to be proven, but Hume will now show that this maxim is not at all self-evident. There are no intuitively certain relations implied in the maxim that things with beginnings must have causes. We sometimes are certain about particular notions. This certainty only arises when our comparisons of ideas turn up unalterable relations held between unchanging ideas. These unvarying relations are resemblance, proportions in quantity and number, degrees of inequality, and contrariety. We may be intuitively certain of these relations, and yet none of them are implied in the proposition that whatever has a beginning has also a cause of existence. This proposition, then, is not grounded on our only means of intuitive certainty. Hence, it is not intuitively certain. The only way some might argue otherwise is if they demonstrate that there is another infallible relation which is implied in the proposition. As soon as someone does so, Hume will take it into consideration. Hume will now prove that not only is this proposition not intuitively certain, it is not demonstrably certain either. If something is necessary, nothing else can be the case. So some want to demonstrate that every new existence has a cause, so to prove their maxim, but in order to do so, they must also demonstrate that nothing can begin to exist without a cause or productive principle. Hume will show that this second demonstration is impossible. He has us first recall that all distinct ideas are separable from each other, and the ideas of cause and effect are distinct. Let's first imagine our match example. If we wished, we can perfectly conceive the idea of the flame. We can also conceive that the flame was non-existent in the previous moment, but we do not thereby also imagine its cause. We just think that in the previous moment the flame did not exist, so we conceive the beginning of the flame's existence without also conceiving its cause. Thus, there is no contradiction or absurdity in separating the concepts of beginning and cause. And whatever we can conceive is a possibility, hence no one can say it is impossible for there to be a beginning without a cause. Here then is Hume's grand conclusion. We know from the above arguments that our belief in the necessary connection between cause and effect is not obtained either from knowledge or from scientific reasoning. In other words, we have no a priori grounds for our belief that there is a necessary connection between causes and effects. The only other possibility is that we obtain this belief from observation and experience. So, in other words, the belief in this connection's necessity is grounded in a posteriori knowledge. Hume's next question is, how does experience give rise to this principle of the necessary causal connection? For convenience, Hume rephrases the question to, why do some causes necessarily have certain effects, and why do we infer the effects from these particular causes? We will now pursue these two questions and find that the same answer applies to both. Now, in the next section, in the section 4, which is named of the component parts of our reasonings concerning cause and effect, Hume says that when we infer effects from causes, we must establish the cause's existence. We have two ways to do so. First, we immediately perceive the cause in our senses or memory, or we infer the cause from inferences of other prior causes. Then either we immediately perceive this prior cause in our senses or memory, or we infer this prior cause from an even more prior cause. This regression must eventually terminate in some sense impression. Hume says that it is impossible for us to carry on our inferences in infinitum, and the only thing that can stop them is an impression of the memory or senses, beyond which there is no room for doubt or inquiry. This chain must stop somewhere, at a sense perception.